Hello guys, David Vose here. Beautiful, beautiful morning here again. They just keep coming and you know, I enjoy it, but I think we need some rain. So I hope we get some rain here soon. We're not going to have much of a beautiful spring if we don't get some water for those flowers. So I hope it does rain a bit. But here it could just rain 1 or 2 days. Some clouds go through and just pour for an entire day, and then the next day it's sunny again. So we only need a couple of days of rain. But, well, I hope you're having a wonderful day where you are. I have several things I want to talk about because that video I did yesterday, I got some comments, and I want to talk about some of these thoughts that people have and concerns and stuff. But the first thing I wanted to mention was because it was after I made that video that I went and watched the meeting, I guess you would call it, between Trump and Zelensky. And JD Vance was there. And I saw the whole thing. Because, I'll be honest, I was hearing the scuttlebutt and I was thinking, uh-oh, what did Trump do? What is he doing, arguing and fighting? I saw a quick picture of him pointing his finger and really his face all contorted into some kind of, angry face, counseling Zelensky, and didn't look good in the picture. Probably saw it from CNN or something. So I was thinking, uh-oh, what did Trump do? And then I noticed that even before I saw what actually happened, I was looking for it, and I saw a couple of videos. I didn't watch the whole thing. I thought maybe that was it, and I clicked on it, and they were people describing it or whatever. And I was like, what? This doesn't sound right. And then I ended up clicking on a Fox clip with Bret Baier interviewing Zelensky, saying, do you think you need to apologize to the president? I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I thought happened. I thought it was Trump that was yelling at him. But Bret Baier says, oh, no, the consensus among all of us is that you're a unthankful, ungrateful person. You came there, you started yelling at the president. And it's like, what? I need to see this. And then, even then, it wasn't, I didn't get right to the meeting. I didn't get to see the clip where, the actual showdown yet. I'm still looking for it. I click something else, and it's, what was it? That doofus senator, what's his name? Lindsey Graham. And one that I thought not very long ago was against Trump because he was saying I think he believed that January 6th was some kind of a coup or something. A real snake, with a twisted tongue, a forked tongue. And he gets up there and he says, I've never been prouder in my life of Donald Trump. I have never been so proud. He just handled it so well, and he's so amazing, and I'm just so, like, we're getting married, we're going on a honeymoon, and I love this man. And I was like, this is okay. I got to see this now. So I found it and I watched it. And I'll tell you something. That was some good acting. That was some great acting. I mean, ooh-wee. I can understand why most of you will believe this whole thing is a spontaneous thing going on, grassroots level, just popped up out of nowhere. Nobody's orchestrating anything. Zelensky's a little turd bucket, and Putin's probably a decent guy, and Trump's a good guy, and he's an arbitrator and a deal maker, and boy, look at him go, and he's angry, and he's got so much, conviction, and Trump is so level-headed. Why, he didn't go too far. He didn't start screaming and jumping up and down and flaying his hands, but he did very sharply rebuke Zelensky. And it was the type of rebuke and his demeanor, Trump's demeanor, was perfect, because when a real man gets stuck in a situation where there's one wild goose trying to attack his leg on one side and a wild hyena on the other, he doesn't go, "Oh, you sweet little creatures, why don't you just go on your way today and have a wonderful day at the park, and I'll just be on my way here." No, he stops, he stands, he takes the stance. Here comes the duck. Kabam! He kicks that duck. I mean, you ain't going to stand there and let the duck attack you. You got women and children on the trail. The duck's scaring the children. You kick that duck, right? That's a man. You're protecting your family. And that hyena, he's not going to fare well when there's a real man. He's going to kick that hyena and run it off. No uncertain terms. Be the man, right? So it looked like that. It looked like whenever, you've had a situation, some of you have never had this situation because we don't have family. We're not proud of our moms and dads anymore because we never even had moms and dads. But there was a time when there were families, and there still are some, where the family loves their mom and dad and they're very proud of them. And you get into a situation where the family's kind of threatened by someone along the road or at the gas station or somebody comes to their home or whatever. Dad comes and he stands up there and says, "Can I help you?" And dad tells him, "Hit the road, Toad," and protects the family. And everybody's so proud of their dad. And that was the moment we had there. It didn't look like Trump was angry and just a sore loser but it really looked like, and remember, this is a fight worldwide. Trump's not only against Zelensky. Trump seems to be kind of nice about when he speaks about Putin. He's like, "Well, Putin hasn't done anything wrong. I'm not trying to say I love Putin. We ain't sleeping together, but hey, he's a diplomat. There are reasons he went to war. I'm just the arbitrator. I'm not going to take sides. I'm not trying to, even bring up all the crap you did, Zelensky, right? Murdering Russian people within the Ukraine and attacking them and trying to get NATO to come in there when you made the agreement and you just won't back down. You're like a little attack dog. I mean, what, he's a little brave guy, like a little pit bull. But he's not that brave. Why is he doing it? Because he's being told to do it. He's an actor. And this is all playing out. Now, this is playing out with you've got the Emmanuel Macron, the French guy, the French president. He's standing up to Trump too, very diplomatically, but, like, sir, respectfully, I've got to correct you. But he's not even willing to get mad at Trump. Nobody ain't going to start, even Zelensky was put in his place and didn't shake his finger back too hard at Trump. He's like settled back in his seat. And what I thought was really crazy was JD Vance. I know he was there, but I thought he would be there to listen, like to respectfully show his support, stand shoulder to shoulder with the president. They're having a meeting. I didn't think they were all supposed to talk. I know there were questions from the audience, but I didn't think JD Vance should, because at the point that JD Vance jumped in, he seemed visibly angry and humiliated Zelensky. It was JD Vance that started the whole thing. He said, "You haven't even said thank you. You're being very disrespectful." And it started from there. Trump was still being very kind and diplomatic. Never started hurling accusations. Remained the modulator there, or moderator, whatever you call it. But then at the end, Trump did act very sternly and gave some very serious counsel and said, "You don't hold the cards, sir. I think we're done here." He didn't want it to... It looked so real. It did. It looked like guys who have real opinions, really upset. But it came off like a script to me because it was too perfect. Because Zelensky looked in the end like the idiot. I got a chicken that's going back shite crazy because she just laid an egg or something. This is spring and they're all laying eggs now, so they're back to their noisy little cells. But the whole thing looked real. That's what I'm saying. And I'll tell you the reasons here in a second why I don't think it was real. But I'm admitting that the whole thing looked real. It was inspiring. Trump played the part that everybody wants, the great, amazing papa that saved the day. And Zelensky looked like a little whining little idiot. And everybody knows the truth about his little... It's like he just wanted us to keep giving him more billions, please. So we want to continue with this war. We've got to win. Right? Well, why do you got to win? I mean, because we're Democrats. No, you're not. There's no democracy there. And everybody knows this. And it's all about minerals and oil and gas. But it's even about something deeper, as we pointed out yesterday. They want that land for another reason. First of all, that's Khazarian land. That was the ancient homeland of the Germanic tribes. They're all just... And by the way, you never know if they're really Germans or they're just a catchphrase for something else that they mean. Just like we were talking about another little problem we were having. Somebody commented about, well, I don't understand. You say Jesus is Lucifer. That's crazy. The Masons and the Satanists, they claim to be Luciferians too. And it's just so confusing because they keep putting into the world stuff that's not true for so long. And then when you use that which is not true as a parallel to what you learn later on is true, and you never correct the part that you didn't understand, that you're going to get mixed up. So to start with, Yahweh's the devil. And it's Yahweh who condemns Lucifer. It's the devil who condemns Lucifer. So how could Lucifer be the devil? And the word Lucifer is just some translation that in the Latin Vulgate, you know. It's just some unfortunate word they put in there. But it might be a good word, the light bringer, the bringer of dawn, the star of the dawn, the morning star. But Jesus claims to be that twice in Revelation, and Peter tells us that Jesus is that day dawn star in his epistle. So you see, without the understanding of the truth, all this can get so screwed up, we just don't know what's going on or what's up or down. So I'm looking at this, and the first thing I see is that Zelensky's an actor. I mean, that's what he did by profession. He is an actor by profession, as was Reagan, right? Was a movie star actor. But he is a good actor. And I'll tell you, and again, I'll tell you why I know they're acting here in a minute. But the way that Zelensky acted, it looked real. He's a good actor. And I could see as Trump was coming at him there at the end, and when JD Vance came at him, Zelensky looked visibly angry, and I saw something in him that I see in people in real life, where they're in a meeting where somebody's talking and saying stuff that they don't agree with, and it's hurtful, it's accusatory, and you're just squirming, wanting to say, that's not true, you son of a, but you can't. You're in a meeting, there's cameras on you, and he's squirming in his seat, and he's so, you can see the angst boiling up from his belly, trying to make it through his sarcophagus, up through his vocal cord, and vibrating out on his tongue. But he held it back for a second, but he couldn't hold it long. It looked real. He was itching to say something, but yet trying to be a little diplomatic. But he didn't want to bite the hand that was feeding him. He knew that would look ridiculous. He should be thankful for all that we did for him. Although, remember, it was Biden that did it, not Trump. And if he wants to keep getting food like a horse looking for his oats, he better be happy that the farmer's bringing him oats with a little bit of molasses in it as well. In fact, a lot of oats and molasses. I mean, they gorge themselves. They're overweight, 500 pounds, laying in the field upside down, belly protruding, can't get back up. He's so fat, and he's been eating all these apples and carrots and delicacies and oats soaked in molasses, and he can barely make his way over to the fence to talk to the farmer, and he says, on you, right? No, he wants more of this good stuff, so he's got to be polite. But, so it looked real. But here's where it started to show through to me that it probably wasn't real. They're all sitting there. There's a camera. That should give it away. It's staged, right? I'm sure they rehearse this. And a lot of us don't realize that even the people that are sitting there with the cameras and the microphones and asking all the questions are just people that they hire to do that. That's their job. They're given a script by their independent organizations. And if you think that CNN and Fox didn't script that over the last 4 years, then you're not seeing things correctly. But even when you go and you look at Biden's press secretary, the black girl with the curly locks, real cute little, you could see they hired her because she was black and kind of sassy and cute, and she could, kind of and appear to be someone that could answer these tough questions, and at the same time portray their gimmick, their line, which is, we're minorities and you've been keeping us down forever, and now we're speaking out. You're just crazy. What are you saying, John? What is your question? I don't even understand your question. I'm done. I'll see you later. Bye. Real snarky, and it was just exactly what they wanted. They choreographed the whole thing. Do you see that? You say, yeah, I know they picked a person that looked a certain way and a certain attitude. If she couldn't answer the questions and make Biden look good, then they'd fire her. I get that. But they do so well. If you've noticed, these press secretaries have always been so perfect. And you say, yeah, but she wasn't that perfect because she lost a lot of those battles, Dave. I think they wanted her to lose those battles. That's how perfectly orchestrated it is. They picked somebody that looked like she was really trying, but it was just impossible to answer the questions because the questions were so tough because Biden was so ridiculous. So she couldn't even answer some of the questions. She just had to turn around and close the book. So she had to be good at answering questions, but when the questions are so tough you can't answer them, she had to be good enough to say, I'm not going to answer it, and I've got a real good reason because it's so ridiculous, so I'm not going to answer it. And for those who are like minorities, transgenders watching, the 2% of the world that's watching, that loves this, they're like, yeah, she didn't back down, and she didn't answer that question because it didn't deserve an answer, and I'm so proud of her. So it could go both. I don't know how to explain this. It was just like they knew that it was just this perfect presentation to keep stringing along the liberals and making them think they might still be winning, but on the other hand, showing obviously to the real people in the United States that, yeah, she's an idiot, and it therefore continued to make division. They didn't put somebody up there that was really going to try to answer the questions and say, yeah, Biden didn't mean to do that. He's trying. How are they going to answer the question of why is Biden bringing terrorists over the border? How are they going to answer the question of why is Biden falling off the stage? Perhaps he's too old to be doing this. He's losing his memory. And how are they going to answer this? Right? Well, why would they have to answer this? Why do they have an old Mr. Magoo running the point is, it was all orchestrated to give you the appearance that we've got some individuals that are incompetent running the show. That's what it was portrayed to be. Even though it looked all grassrooty, it looked all normal and natural. It was just an idiot that happened to become president because the Democrats are dumb, according to us, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're just trying to preserve their assets. They don't want to let the Epstein thing get out, so they're hiding things, and the CIA is being controlled by people who are trying to keep things under the rug, and it just makes it look like it's all for a reason. And it's so frustrating to the American people because they know that these guys are not answering questions. And they're not really doing the right thing. But they're obfuscating. And they're getting away with it. It made us more and more frustrated. The 90% of the American people that were frustrated voted for Trump. Because, again, they orchestrated the thing and made us look like, oh, okay, so you're orchestrating this to look bad, to piss us off. And then you're orchestrating this thing over here where this other guy is being impeached twice, brought up on phony felony charges that, even if the charges were real, weren't even felony charges. It was obvious. And look who they picked for the lawyer. Someone that appears to feel privileged, that they have something coming to them that we owe them. You know, like, I'm finally in charge now. I'm a lawyer. I'm a poor Aunt Jemima black woman that was being ruled over by a bunch of Uncle Toms, and I'm sick of it. And finally we're in power now, and I'm the lawyer, and I'm taking him out. And even if it has to be illegal or something questionable, it doesn't matter, because their constituents see it as, well, these white chauvinists have been running the show for all these years. They've got a bunch of laws that don't make sense. They're manipulating us. Maybe the law says you can do that, but it's wrong, but they're getting away with it because they got legal loopholes. And that's what they're thinking. We're always the ones going to jail, us minorities. We're always the one getting beaten up on the streets. So you might say it's legal, but we're tired of it. So if we can find a legal way to get rid of Trump, then, tit for tat, that's what we're going to do. And that's how they saw it. But those who didn't see or didn't feel this entitlement, because they weren't taught that everything was against them. So most of the white population just thought, well, all the evil that's going down in the world and the suffering and the pain is just the way it is. It's not because I'm white that it's happening. It's just all these bad things are happening. Because they see a lot of white people in power and in office, and they think, well, okay, white people aren't being abused. Well, they didn't realize it was actually not white people in power. It was this one little Bavarian group, or people who took oaths and moved their way through the Illuminati. But the appearances, a lot of poor minorities think that they're entitled because they've been overlooked for so long, and they're sick and tired of it. And that was that side where all the minorities said, yeah, we're going to feel entitled, and we're going to overlook the sassiness and the arrogance because we deserve it. And if we can, abuse them for a while, they deserve it. We're going to be unfair, right? Sometimes they'd even admit it. Say, yeah, I have the right to get a job that I don't deserve, that maybe you're more qualified for, because for so long we've been put down. And that's the feeling. And that's what kept people voting the Democratic side. But that was probably only about 5% of the Democratic Party, or 10%. 80-90% of the Democratic Party were very, 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 very poor people. Minorities are not. A lot of white poor people, too, that are Democrats, and they're just voting for free handouts up their welfare check. Because there was always this, they would always tell the Democrats, the Republicans are going to take away your welfare. Right? They're going to raise your tax and that kind of thing. It was just hype. But anyway, all that was being orchestrated. They carefully orchestrated the two sides, the two parties, to separate Americans between those who have and those who have not, or those who are privileged, or those who are entitled, and those who are abused, and they deserve extra because they've been abused. And there's a legitimacy to both of those things. The point is why did they cause this? Why did the Democrats and Republicans who run the Senate and Congress, why did they make all these laws that created these divides? If the Democrats had all this power and they were really trying to help the poor minorities, why wouldn't they have stopped this ridiculousness? I mean, this has been going on since Lincoln. From that point forward, we've been under martial law, police on the street. Nobody seems to know why there's drugs being brought across the border and fed to the slums, and then they're going to prison and surrounding around, just like the pharmaceutical companies and the hospitals. It looked grassroots, like, oh man, nobody knows what's going on. The pharmaceutical companies are probably just big fat white guys trying to get rich and stealing our money and manipulating our minds and putting all these commercials, and they're just doing it for greed. Nobody could stop this, right? It's all real people doing real things, and it's just a mess. When in actuality, it's not a mess. They orchestrated all of it. They planned it that way. They were trying to keep whole groups down and going into prison and being sick so they could make money off of them. And the elite always knew that, and they didn't want to lose their privileges, right? So they voted for theirs, to keep things the way it was going so that they could continue to have their castles in the sky while us peasants were down here eating poop, right? Or was it cake? Either way. But, so what I'm getting at is that it looks so real. The problems of this world look so real. What are we going to do? These people have different opinions, and we got to go to war, and nobody knows how to solve it. And everybody's, they're sincere, and they're politicians. They're getting up there and they're railing against the evil, and we're just, let's vote for him. He's got an idea. And it all looks so real and so incomprehensible, to the point where people thought, well, I've got an idea. I'm going to go into law school, and I'll become a lawyer, and I'll defend the defenseless and those who have no money, and I'll be their heroes, and I'll do good. So then they become a lawyer, and they start making a few $100,000 a year, and they get themselves a big house on a hill, and they're like, well, maybe the system's not that bad. This is pretty nice here. And they just start overlooking all the injustice. And they stop speaking out because they could get fired and they don't want to lose their little cushy job. They become an Uncle Tom. And the system is made that way. It's broken on purpose. And the guys at the top, all these people in Congress and all the politicians, they're not going to school for this to learn how math works or logic or what history is or science. They're in school just learning how to act and what to say when somebody says that, and how to manipulate people, and how to lie legally, and how to make legal loopholes and get people off that have money. If you can pay the money, I'll get you off. If you don't, if you're poor, well, you're probably abusing drugs. We're going to have to, just for your own good, put you in jail so you can dry out, and then we'll keep you on probation. That's for your own good. And even though they once knew the truth when they were poor, and they could see through all the bullcrap, and they knew it wasn't fair, once they got a little money, then they couldn't see it wasn't fair anymore. But, okay, back to this whole staged event where they're sitting around taking questions, and Trump is sitting there looking very pious, and like I said, it was all very convincing. Zelensky looked like a spoiled little whiner. And JD started the whole thing of, you didn't even say thanks. Now, JD's a smart guy. He might have thought of that on the spur of the moment while they're sitting there. And maybe he was just so incensed by this lack of appreciation coming from Zelensky that he just had to step up and say something. But normally in my lifetime, I've never seen a vice president interrupt a meeting between the president and a president of another country that's doing this very serious diplomatic discussion and jump in there. It'd be one thing if Trump did it, got mad and said, "Now, listen here, young man, that's Trump's modus operandus, and we were used to that." But we've never seen, well, I don't know if we have. I haven't seen JD Vance that much, but I don't think it was JD Vance's place to counsel or reprimand Zelensky, even though Zelensky was acting entitled and spoiled, like a spoiled brat. And I get that a lot of people might have just spoke out at that moment, but it did seem choreographed to me. That's where I believe you can start to see through the visage and see that it's an orchestrated, there's cameras, they had this all prepared. They were probably, they probably rehearsed it. I would bet you that Zelensky and Trump had already been in another room rehearsing this argument. Because the way they did it, it's just like what I was saying with the Democrats and Republicans, the two arguments. It was designed to look like a disaster for Zelensky. It was designed to look like a disaster because they're trying to rally worldwide support for Trump. But they still got to have some bad guys. They still got to say, well, that darn Biden once in a while. And they still got to have this, what remains of Biden's insanity and the old world of entitlement and all the idiots. You can't have Trump and Obama fight because that's an old era. So you bring Zelensky, he's holding on to this entitlement and all this evil, and he's the big problem, and the world's sick of it. And they're saying, okay, Zelensky, this is the stage where we're trying to convince everybody to go with Trump. We're going to make this great big solution. As I read to you yesterday in that little article, which all seems very logical to me, Netanyahu, people from Poland, people from Sweden, people from America, Kushner, all these other people are already planning on making a Judean Khazarian state after the war's over. And Netanyahu's going to be on the councils. He's going to be the president or something of that. And it's going to be this, they got these plans to build a new Jerusalem. So they're planning on destroying the infrastructure there. That they want that, to rebuild it, just like they did with Gaza. Remember how Trump's going to go in and take it over, make a big resort? You saw the video, the AI video that Trump put out. I don't know what they're doing, but it's propaganda, guys. You got to understand that all of this is orchestrated. Every detail since Trump took office has been an orchestrated cameo to make the right people feel that finally somebody's mad about things that they should be mad about. And so they're taught how to have this very controlled anger. Now, they've got to have it in a controlled way, because if they start screaming and acting like a child, that wouldn't look good for Trump. But he did it perfectly. It was orchestrated and choreographed perfectly so that you all believe that Trump, and I guarantee you watch, mark my words, Trump's going to win on this too. Everything he does, he's going to end up winning. Unless, of course, they've got some other plan up their sleeve where they're just fooling us and they're going to make us feel like we're winning, and Trump's the guy who's going to make us feel good. And then they're going to come in there and knock all of our bricks and our Legos down, break all of our Lincoln logs, and step on some of our little Tonka trucks, and storm out of the playground all pissed off. Anywho, that's how I saw that. And I can understand why people are believing this whole show. But I'm telling you, it's a show, guys. That's what I have to say. Look very carefully. You'll see the veneer coming off and the threads showing. And if you really want to know the truth, you'll begin to perceive that they're lying to us again, just as they have for thousands of years. This is not some grassroots, Trump is a great guy, just happens to be winning, and he's going to take back America for us. No, there's something going on, and they want you to believe the way you're believing. And you've got to understand that what you want is not what you should have. And they're playing on that. What you should have is this system should collapse. It should have collapsed a long time ago. It's robbery. It's slavery. It's disgusting. But because you don't know anything else but this slavery, but this system, but this capitalistic, evil, rotten society, and you happen to have mortgaged your way into a house and you're happy at the moment, and you don't want the party to end, and you're going to allow your mind to not see all the little loose ends. I'm telling you, don't be fooled, because ultimately what we're going to have here is a system run by AI that's not really run by AI. It's an illusion. The programmers are going to run the world. They've taught them there's no AI. It's just machines, cameras watching you. There's humans that are looking at the film, and laws that they made that they can now force you into some situation where you end up dying, where you end up losing. You're in a controlled cage like a rat, and you're all happy about they give you the cheese and a little wheel to run around on, but you're still in a cage, and you've never experienced true freedom. You don't know what real life is. And the only way we're ever going to find out what life is for this entire civilization we built up in the last 200-300 years. The industrial age and all of the technical age and the digital age and then now the quantum, AI, it's all a farce to imprison and destroy your mind, because it's all run by Satan. Now, I think I've made my point there the best I can. I don't know how to describe it to you, but the other thing I wanted to talk about is the book of Revelation. I've had a lot of people, there's these particular doctrines that are going around. They're being created by Satan to take you away from the truth. And even some of the people that listen to me and like what I'm saying, they'll eventually come to something where they've been watching somebody like, I don't know, some person on the YouTube that's got some new theory that Christ already came, or the 1,000 years is over, or Paul's not an apostle. I've squashed these. I've taken them out one by one. But there's one that's going around right now. I haven't answered it sufficiently yet. It's kind of one that slips through the cracks, but it seems to be a lot of people kind of latching onto this, and it's stumbling a lot of people. This new lie that if Gabe's right and Jesus is love and Yahweh's the devil, we've got that far. Then why is it that in the book of Revelation, Jesus is coming and destroying the world and getting rid of all the wicked, right? And he's got a sword and he's murdering people and there's plagues, and this can't be our Lord Jesus. He's love. He doesn't kill people. And I have explained this several times. I'm going to try to do it again today in the next 20 minutes because, we've already gone over 40 minutes. But this is important for you to understand. And I think I've found a way that I can explain this to you. Although I've said it in various ways before. But I'm going to go back to what I said in a comment to somebody in the comments that was asking about this. So the book of Revelation is a little bit, it's parabolic, and it's written with a lot of symbology and astrology. And there's these patterns that the prophets use. You look at any of the prophets, they speak in eschatological ways that sound, very, bad. Like if you didn't understand what was going on, you'd think that it was just some evil wickedness. Like, where is this place that the fire is not quenched and the worm doth not die? What kind of evil is this, Well, it's very symbolic. But in the book of Revelation, it's not actually Jesus who's bringing all the destruction upon the world. If you look in Revelation 2 and 3, the angel speaking on behalf of Jesus, John writes it down that he's warning Christians not to be lukewarm or they'll get spit out of Jesus' mouth. That's not an evil thing for Jesus to say. He's just trying to tell people that if they don't continue to love and forgive, and they go back to the law and start hating people and condemning people, that they're going to be condemned. But even then, his hand is stretched out still. He's not saying that your soul is going to be lost forever. He's saying be wise and stay on the path. And if you don't, then there's some symbology there where you're turned back again into the resurrection of judgment, and you pay for the things that you've done because you wouldn't just forgive. So that's all fine. And he warns people. And he also says this: for those who can grasp love and forgive and receive the covenant of grace and stop wanting vengeance, then I'm going to keep you from the hour of this test. It's a test that's coming upon the entire world. The test is, can you love? Not can you be angry at the wicked and destroy the wicked. The test is, can you resist being the wicked one? Can you resist being the one who hates your neighbor and is fed up with him and gets his shotgun and goes out there and takes care of business? Are you going to turn the other cheek? Because he'll keep you from the hour of test if you've already resolved in your heart that you're not going to give in to the temptations of this world, and you're going to love your brother and sister no matter what. So then he says the 10 days of tribulation that's coming upon the entire inhabited earth. Well, it's coming because of our sins, not because Jesus is wrathful. It's coming. It's a judgment because we wouldn't accept forgiveness and love. So we're under the covenant of wrath because we've chosen vengeance. We're angry, and we want the law and order in the prisons and the laws of Moses, and we won't receive the new covenant of love and grace. So what he's actually saying is, if you just listen to me, you won't have to suffer at all. In fact, there is no suffering. The monster that we're trying to get rid of here is the illusion in your own mind. So we go on down to, several other chapters just talking about angels coming down and having the everlasting gospel. And then it opens up the bottomless pit and all this evil comes out. That's not from Jesus. It tells you it's from the angel of the bottomless pit, which is Father Adonai, whose name in Greek is Apollyon, the destroyer. That's the Antichrist. Revelation chapter 6, you see a white horse with a bow. That's Apollyon. Look in history and the mythologies. Apollyon is this evil destroyer that's got a bow and a poison arrow. And riding behind him is war and famine and pestilence. And this is all not coming from Jesus. And all of this is real death and war and hate. And it's coming to destroy your soul, to ruin the earth. And Jesus is coming to bring to ruin those who are ruining the earth. So, but how does Jesus ruin those who are trying to ruin the earth? Well, first of all, why didn't Jesus get rid of the bad guys so they couldn't come and ruin the earth before they even got here? Because those who are ruining the earth are those who believe in vengeance, and that's the lower ego, and it's you. Most of his children have chosen this, and he's being patient with you. And the plagues that are coming are the consequences. And if the consequences to your sin, if you put your hand in the fire and it burns and you don't pull it out, then it just keeps burning. You get the consequences. But he's loving in that he disciplines those whom he loves. So yeah, the pain is out of love for you. So he tried to get you to pull it out before your hand is consumed. It hurts the minute you touch that fire because he doesn't want it to burn. So Jesus is not bringing evil to ruin the world. But Jesus is going to bring good. He is going to bring light to destroy darkness. That's a good thing. He is going to destroy the bad. But what is the bad? Not you. He's patient with you. The bad is what you've chosen, and he's got to wait until you repent to save you, because you're the one in charge. You've got to make the decision for yourself. You have free will. So he uses love to destroy hate and right to destroy wrong. The sword from his mouth in Revelation 19 is when Jesus comes. Up to that point, it's all the devil creating carnage and death and murder and rape and pillage and all this evil on the earth. And at that moment, when the tribulation comes, then the people cry out and they say, "Oh Lord, please come and help us, save us, please. This hurts so bad." Then, when you cry out for salvation, for his help, then he can come and help you. And that's what he's done. Up to now, nobody's cried out. Very few. Everybody's like, yay, we love this rotten, wicked world. We want vengeance. They're crying out for vengeance. More prisons. More law and order. And there was nothing he could do to help you. You were crying for the devil, and the devil came and did what you asked. Jesus had no authority to come at that point because you didn't ask him to come. So once the consequences and the plague started going, and the white horse and the red horse and the black horse and the gray horse, or the pale horse, start riding through, and the bottomless pit is open, and the demons come out and start torturing your soul, then you cry out, "Oh, Jesus, save us." And here he comes on a white horse, and he's got a sword out of his mouth, meaning the sword of truth. And with truth, he will dispel the lies in your heart. He will convince you to let go of your lie and repent so that he can save you. Not to kill you. So in Revelation 6, we've got the Antichrist. We've got all the bottomless pit, the demons, the destruction, the plagues. That's all from the devil. Jesus doesn't do any of that. He waits until the last minute once you fully experiencing all the pain of your decisions and the consequences of your decisions. And then this sword, which is not a carnal weapon, but a weapon of the Spirit, the sword of the truth, he uses to kill the monster, which is the dragon, the monster in your mind, and the beast, the monster in your heart, and the false prophet. And that's the only thing it says that Jesus does, is get rid of all of the monsters, which are the delusions or the lies. Because his light is coming, and they're hiding themselves in the holes in the rocks of the cliffs and saying, fall on us, mountains. Hide us from the one who is coming, from the brightness of his coming or his presence. The brightness or the light. People can't handle the truth, and they're not seeking for the truth. You can't just throw away the book of Revelation because you don't like the way it speaks and you don't understand it. If you do that, then you're not a diligent Christian. You're just making stuff up and believing whatever you want. You believe in somebody named Jesus maybe because you decide, I like that, he's nice. But I don't believe in the Bible. Well, where'd you get the idea of a Jesus then? From Paul? Oh, well, I don't like Paul. Well, Paul's the one who brought you the story of Jesus. Paul's scribe, his traveling companion, was Mark and Luke, and they wrote the book of Mark and Luke based on what they heard from the other apostles and while traveling with Paul. And you can't just go and read the Bible and say, well, I believe in Jesus, but I don't have any reason or historical reason to believe in Jesus, but I do. I don't believe in this Bible, right? That would be the historical reason or the evidence for Jesus is the written record. But I don't believe in the written record. But I'm going to believe in Jesus. By that same token, I believe in aliens, right? Got no proof for it, but I believe in aliens. Why? Because you've been told by scientists, godless atheists, that there is a vast vacuum of nothing between us for a distance that would be incomprehensible if you understood how far. 100,000 light years away or something. You can't see it with a telescope or with any modern invention. They're lying to you. They don't know if there are planets out there around stars. We don't know what those little lights are. Just because you see the sun, which is a big bright light that heats up the earth, and the moon, doesn't necessarily mean that all the little white lights are more suns. Maybe they're more moons, right? Maybe they're not moons or suns. And maybe even the moon and the sun aren't round spheres like they say that the sun is 93 million miles away and the moon is 240,000 miles away. Maybe it's not. We have no proof of any of this. So, we don't know that there are stars out there with a galactic federation. The Bible doesn't teach that. If it were true, it would be in the Bible, because the Bible teaches everything that's true. The history of the world from the beginning. Never anywhere in there do you see that our Heavenly Father made other worlds out there in beyond our dimension, like there's 1,000 light years of nothing. No motion, there's no existence. There's no material. There's no nothing to measure. So how could it be 1,000 light years? And how can you see it if it's 1,000 light years away? Why are you saying you found water on a planet on another star system 100 light years away? You're lying. So if you just accept the idea that the stars are suns with planets rotating around them, we don't even know that. We see little lights that they claim those aren't stars, those are planets. Well, they look just like the other stars, but those have a different motion, so we think those are going around the sun. The sun's got to be a sphere. We never see the backside. Who knows? It's bright light either way. We never see the backside of the moon, but we're certain it's a revolving ball. Could be a portal. We don't know. But what we do know is that consciousness is all there is. Being is all there is. There's nothing more than being in the universe. Material things are our images of our thoughts. We're the source of all of this material. And there's only one universe. There can't be more than one reality. Now, we could live in a reality that is chopped up with a little thing we call time and space, which is just a concept, so that we fragment our consciousness, or we put what we're aware of in different categories. We say, I'm aware of this, but not now. That was later. That was before. This is future things that I'm going to do. So there it is, but it's not in reality. It's just something that's in the past, in my memory, something I've made up, put in my mind. It's an image that doesn't have physical manifestation in this present moment, because I'm too busy being aware of my thoughts in this moment. So any other existence has got to be the one existence. And it has to be connected to our existence, either through the past or the future. In other words, time and space is a way that we can demarcate our conscious reality. Put some things in the past and some things in the future. But in reality, that which is the only thing that exists. And in the present moment, all that exists is what we are, which we're not in time and space. We're all that exists. We're all that ever existed. But in this moment, we're aware of our thoughts, that images around us, and that's the only reality that we have in this moment. And that's the universe we live in. And the conscious minds that are in this universe are here on earth. They're your brothers and sisters. There is nothing else. There's no one else but us. We are the conscious being that is the perception of what is. We are the ones perceiving what is, and we're the ones making what is. We have a thought, and then we observe our thoughts. We become duality, male and female, negative and positive. This is the world that we live in. And our being, we don't understand. It's an infinite being. And all that we can understand about ourselves is what we manifest at the time, our understanding at the time. So the universe that you see is all there is in this moment. You can't communicate with other beings that aren't us. If you're communicating with spirit, you're communicating with your own demons, your own brothers and sisters that are here, which are just, we're all one, right? It's just us in another time or another space. So your brother is just you, the divine mind. We're all one. But it's the divine being acting and experiencing through that moment or that time or that space. But it's still the divine being, which is without time and space. And that divine being without time and space is us. So if you don't have the awareness of what I'm saying, if you don't understand that there is nothing but us, and you get to believing their lies, that there are other worlds out there in this time, in this space, but they're over there so far away we can't even comprehend it. And somehow they're communicating with these beings, some telepathic or whatever, but you got no proof. And you're accepting their testimony. Why are they giving you their testimony? That they're speaking with aliens, who, by the way, don't believe in Jesus. Because they want you to have a worldview of the universe as something that's not true, something far flung out there that you don't understand, and it's not you. They're taking away your power. You are the divine. You are the decider. If you want a good life and happiness, you must believe and have happiness and give and love. But they want you to think, oh no, it's some alien that's doing it. And if the aliens are doing it, and they have greater power than we are, then they're God, and we have to obey them. And they've taken away that divine Christ within you, because Jesus gave you authority. He said, ye are Elohim. The scripture cannot be broken. We're the Elohim. We were there in Genesis chapter 1, making and creating and manifesting, imagining, imaging, made in our image, which is our image of mind, imagination. So we imagine that we're human, and we incarnate into this world. We learn by the things that we suffer. Jesus can't stop that. You're a fool, literally, if you're going to have beliefs that you don't understand. You can't believe in things that you don't have proof for or evidence for, or that you don't even understand. First of all, you don't understand who you are, that there is no other power other than mind, and it's in you. And these aliens that they're telling you about, that's going to come and either save you or destroy you, is a ruse. And it's a lie. So they've got to get you to not believe in Jesus and his coming again to restore his kingdom. And they want you to believe in their system, which makes you a slave. So they tell you lies like aliens are coming. Or they tell you that Jesus was just some guy that wasn't true. And there's some guy in a Sumerian tablet named Enki. And they try to tell you that Enki is some scientist on a Federation ship or something. He's coming to save you. That he created you. Because he's a scientist. So you got to believe in science. You got to believe in Elon. He's going to make a Neuralink, and he's going to make biotech, and you're going to get saved by the sorcerers of the pharmaceutical companies and the chemist DuPont and the bankers like JP Morgan. They're going to give you financial freedom and salvation and a digital coin because there's no Jesus. And one of the things that they do is they try to take away your faith in Jesus by saying, look, the Bible's not true. It contradicts itself. Or, hey, Jesus is an evil guy. He's coming to destroy us. Don't believe in Jesus. Jesus isn't destroying you. They're destroying you. Satan is destroying you. The wickedness on this earth is destroying you. If we don't get rid of this wickedness that's on the earth and stop the monster that we're all scared of, the boogeyman, we got to take Santa Claus and whatever we got to do, we got to get rid of that guy. It's coming down your chimney every damn year. Enticing your children with all these little toys. You know, and the kids are scared of him. We don't want a world like this. We've got to stop this ignorant world. And Jesus is coming to stop it. But he couldn't do it until you were willing to receive it. Because he's not going to take anybody's free will. But there comes a point, whether it's an individual or all of us humans here on earth, collectively, where we graduate to a point where we're mature enough, evolved enough to where we can make that decision. And that's called the judgment. And when the judgment comes, we all have to make that decision. Will we follow Christ and go with him? Or will we simply crumble in ruins because of the consequences or the wrath of our lower ego that we've chosen to worship, that's causing the world to be destroyed with plagues and famines and death? That's not the Lord doing that. The world's about to perish. You got one way out of it. Follow Jesus. Be changed in a moment because you get out of the world and you don't share with her in her sins. I mean, if you're going to believe and hate the world and want vengeance, then that vengeance is coming on the world because you believe it's just. And therefore what you judge others is going to be judged against you because you're not realizing you're the judge. You're the thinker. That you've got to have strong enough legs to lift you up out of the chair and get to the top of the mountain, or you're not going. So you're going to have to practice and exercise. That's life. Get over it. If you can't exercise your moral compass and understand the truth and read the book of Revelation with your eyes prayerfully trying to understand what it's saying and not misunderstanding and trying to make Jesus out to be some evil guy because you don't understand the book of Revelation, well, you have no more excuse if you've watched this video. The whole book of Revelation is talking about demons and Satan, the Antichrist, the beast, the dragon, the false prophet, destroying the world. Where in there does Jesus do anything bad? All he does is come at the end with a sword out of his mouth, light and truth that awakens the righteous, and we leave this world and are changed and go with him, and the earth is burned up in fire in the consequence of its actions because no one would listen because you chose unrighteousness. That's your fault, and you're trying to blame Jesus. And I'm only telling you this in a very forceful way. I could maybe sound a little nicer when I say it to you. Oh, my friend, I love you. Jesus loves you. And I do that all the time. Jesus does love you. And he loves you enough, like a father or a mother would their children, to discipline you and teach you and tell you the truth and not lie to you. And he's telling you the truth. This wicked world's going to perish. You must get out of her, my people, if you're going to not have to share in her sins and partake of her plagues. So anyway, I'm going to just leave it there, guys. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And I've got a bunch of things to do today. The sun's shining. I got to get some... I got to fix some things for the chickens so they got a few more places to lay eggs because they're sitting there squabbling out there because I don't have enough places for them to lay an egg. And I've just finally figured out what they're crying about over there. So I'm going to have to start working on that today. And I've got a bunch of things to clean up around here. I got some brush and stuff that I've got to pile up and get a bonfire going. I got to go in town and get some things. And I'm going to load this and wish you a wonderful evening. Grace and peace be with you. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.